Hello friends, schoolsteps.in welcomes you again. In this tutorial, we'll talk about showing confirmations. Confirmations in Android Wear apps use the whole screen or a large portion of it as compared to the handheld applications. This ensures that users can see the confirmations just by glancing at the screen and that they have large touch targets to cancel an action. The Wearable UI library helps you to show confirmation animations and timers in your Android Wear applications. The first image from the left hand side is the example of the confirmation timers. Automatic confirmation timers show user an animated timer that lets them cancel an action they just performed. The second image is an example of confirmation animations. Confirmation animations give users visual feedback when they complete an action. Now let's proceed with our program. Open Android Studio and create a project with the name Showing Confirmations. Choose phone and tablet as well as the Wear. Click next and click finish. Now first thing that we need to do is to work on the Wear module, expand it, expand res folder, expand values and open strings.xml. In the strings.xml we need to define three values, that is start timer, success and cancel. Now next thing that you need to do is right click on the values folder, go to new, go to XML and go to values XML file. Give the name as dimens, DIMENS and click on finish. It will create one XML file for you. Now under the resources tag, we need to define four values. All you need to take care right now is the tag name is dimen and we'll come back to these four values later. Now from the left hand side under the res folder, look for layout folder, expand it, open activity main.xml, open rect activity main.xml and round activity main.xml. Now let's see the activity main.xml. Let's go to the source. This file makes a reference to both rect layout as well as the round layout, and it is decided at the runtime which file to execute depending upon the shape of the AVD we choose at the runtime. So let it be same. We will not make any change here. Now let's go to the round activity main.xml first. Now inside the round activity main.xml, let's delete everything except the first line. And let's define one box inset layout as we did in the previous tutorials. Now let's define one linear layout inside the box inset layout, and inside the linear layout let's define one button. Now next very important thing is to define delayed confirmation view inside the linear layout after the button. Let's do it. So right here we need to define a tag with the name android.support .variable.view.delayed confirmation view. Now we need to define few properties. Let's define the ID. Let's call it delayed_confirmation. Next we need to define layout width, layout height and layout gravity. So we have defined width and height to wrap content and gravity to center. The next thing that you need to define is Android:src is equal to, let's say @drawable and let's say cancel. I have already placed one image with the name cancel. You can see the preview right here. It is inside the drawable folder. It is right here. The next thing that we need to define is circle color. Now if you notice the difference, we are saying app::circle color. So let's define it as gray. Next, we need to define the circle radius and we need to choose the value as @dimen/circle radius. In the similar way, we need to define circle radius pressed, circle padding, circle border width and circle border color. Now the values which are starting with @dimen, these are the four values. These values are coming from dimens.xml. Let's understand these one by one. The first one is the circle border normal width, which is defined as 7 dp, Now let's go to the round activity main and let's go to the design. So if we go over the circle, it shows us a square around it and there is a little gap on all sides from the circle. So this gap is 7 dp. If we go back to diamonds and if we make it 0, so if you see now the gap is closed. The second one is the padding. It is a circle padding which is defined as 5 dp. The more the padding is, the smaller the circle will be. The third one is the radius of the circle. It's very much clear. The more the radius will be, the bigger the circle will be. And the last one is the circle radius pressed. Normally it is circle radius plus padding. It makes 50. So we have defined it as 50. So this is the area available at the runtime on which user can touch or click to cancel the action he has performed. Now let's go back to the source of round activity main. So these properties are starting with Android colon and rest of the properties are starting with the app colon. To talk specifically about the Android colon source, this will remain as such as we have defined right here. And one more thing, if we go to the design, there could be a possibility that you do not see this image at the design time. Just try selecting the delayed confirmation from the right hand side and it will display the image in case you face any problem. Now let's focus on the click event of the button. So we have defined one function with the name onStartTimer. So we need to implement this in the main activity of VR module and we need to do the other things in the main activity of VR module. So let's open the main activity of VR module. So the first thing that we need to do here is to implement the interface delayed confirmation view dot delayed confirmation listener. The next thing we need to do is to implement the methods required for this particular interface. Click OK. The two methods are onTimerFinished and onTimerSelected. Now the next thing that we need to do is to define two variables. One is the static final int num seconds and the other one is the delayed confirmation view. Let's get rid of the text view. We don't need it. Delete it, and in the similar way delete it from here as well. Next we need to initialize delayed confirmation view by using the method findViewById. One thing you need to notice is that we are using findViewById with the help of stub, and the simple reason for this is we are inside the onLayoutInflated method which belongs to the class watchViewStub. Next we need to say delayed confirmation view dot set total time ms and we need to say num seconds into 1000. It will convert into 5 seconds. Next we need to say delayed confirmation view dot set listener. This requires the object of delayed confirmation listener which we have implemented on this particular class right here. So we need to say main activity dot this. Again, one very important thing is that we are not passing this directly here because at this moment we are inside the watchViewStub class. Now let's talk about onTimerFinished. This will be called when the timer will be finished, and once the timer will be finished we need to show some animation. For that purpose we'll use intent and we'll take help from the class confirmation activity. So let's define one intent here, and in the intent the first parameter we are passing is this and the second parameter is confirmation activity, which is a default class which belongs to the variable 1.1.0. Next we need to say intent dot put extra and we need to say confirmation activity dot extra animation type, and the value is confirmation activity dot success underscore animation. Again we need to say intent dot put extra. The first value is confirmation activity dot extra message, and the value that we need to pass corresponding to extra message is success. Last but not the least, we need to start the activity, and in the end we need to call the function finish. Now let's talk about onTimerSelected. Timer will be selected once user choose to cancel the action he has performed. So let's show the similar kind of animation right here. Only difference is rather than saying success here, we can say cancelled. And right here, instead of saying success animation, we can say failure animation. Couple of other changes that we need to do is right here in the beginning we need to say view dot set pressed and we need to pass true. And the second thing that we need to do is we need to set listener to null right here inside the on timer selected method. So right here we need to say set listener and we need to pass null here. Now next thing that we need to do is we need to make an entry for the confirmation activity in the Android manifest.xml file. So inside the VR module, look for Android manifest.xml and right here just above the application we need to make an entry for the confirmation activity. Now let's go back to the main activity.java and right here we need to implement the method onStartTimer which will execute on the click event of the button. So all we need to do inside this method is we need to say delayed confirmation view dot start. Now let's go to the round activity main.xml, select everything, copy it and go to the rect activity main.xml, go to the source, select everything and paste everything right here. The only change that we would like to make is let's get rid of the padding as it may not be required in the rect activity. That is it. Let's run our program now. Here is the output on both round and rect AVD. Let's click the start timer here. And as soon as the timer is completed, it will quickly show you the success animation. Now let's click the start timer button here and let's interrupt. Click here and it will show you cancelled. Friends, with this we are done with the scope of the current tutorial. If you noticed, we have not implemented the mobile module as the implementation of mobile module is a task assigned to you guys. Now, the use case for you is that if the timer is completed successfully, you need to send a success message to the handheld device. On the contrary, if the action is cancelled in between, then you need to send a failure message to the handheld device. Now, to achieve this, you have to make sure that you complete the next section of our series, that is sending and syncing data. Once you complete the next section, you will be able to send the message back to the handheld device. Friends, with this I take your leave. Thank you so much. Please like our page on facebook.com/letsandroid. If you have any query, do write us at info@schoolsteps.in or schoolstepsin@gmail.com. Thank you.